The Flow Friday Night Sports Show continues on. Where's our podcast channel, Flowman?
It's Flow Sports.
Excellent.
Yes, I just saw your face go in that blank look that it comes every now and then.
I forgot.
Flow Sports.
Forgot. Flow Sports.
Podcasting. That's where you're going to hear the Speedway report. If you miss it and you want to hear it again, then it's up at Flow Sports. And this is what we're going to be doing here at Flow. It's a new innovation as we continue broadcasting across our regions, bringing local country content. And one fella that loves his Speedway and brings great local country content is Big Brucey. Welcome.
Good evening, fellas. How are we this weekend?
Oh, going beautifully, mate. The driver's seat, not the only show where you'll get Speedway action. Nims Azor next week on Saturday morning. Big Brucey, of course, always before that, though, here live on the Flow Friday Night Sports Show. Where were we racing through the week, Bruce?
Well, last weekend seen a couple of big events in Australia, and one of those was up at Archerfield Speedway at Brisbane, Queensland, and it was the East Coast Logistics, the continuation of the series in round 8. And look, Archerfield or Brisbane, the place to be. There's just racing. It just seems to be one of the states that's been able to keep going and keep getting plenty of nominations and plenty of racing with all this COVID. So they've done well up there, and it was Lachlan McHugh who done well again in the NQ7, boys.
Whoa.
Well, I've lost count. There's that many. I think it's up to about 13 A-main wins, and he's just absolutely on the gas this season. And look, no one could get near him. Jock Goodyear, the T22, came in second place. That's a pretty good performance from the Tasmanian because, you know, he's beat some of the hometown rivals up there like Luke Oldfield, who was in third place. Cody Morosky, who was in sixth, he's had a good season. Aaron Kelly's had a pretty consistent season, top 5 quite a few times. He finished fifth and even beat some of the real good drivers up there. Randy Morgan had a third place last start, Mitchell G. So it was a pretty good performance by Jock Goodyear to go up there and get on the podium in second place in the East Coast Logistics Round 8 series. A big meeting it was up there, and good crowds attending.
Excellent, Bruce. Tell you what, Lockie McHugh, has that NQ7 got a toe ball on it?
Well, look, he'd probably still be able to keep the speed and beat all these guys.
Well, he's going to need to hook up a trailer, Bruce, just to take home all the trophies, I think.
Well, maybe, or perhaps put a caravan behind there and have a dunny race. He's running really well. The other racing last weekend as we move along is the Solo Hobart Speedway down there in Hobart. It was the Roberts Don Mac title madness, and look, these guys are mad. There's no doubt about that. With 900 horsepower under your foot, there's got to be an adrenaline rush. And in the A-main finish down there at Solo Hobart Speedway, it was Sean Dobson in the T77, and we've seen Dobbo quite a lot, not so much this year with all this COVID, but in recent years we've seen a fair bit of him down at Warrnambool in our travels. And look, it was good to see him get back on the winners list there from Luke Redpath and Adrian Redpath. Jamie Bricknell, who's had a good season with a couple of podiums in fourth, and a real household name down there, pardon the punt, Mark House in the T14 in fifth. So it was a pretty good meeting, that one. Of course, just a few less meetings going on, of course, with the COVID, and of course the Victorian thing hasn't helped things, and that's what we'll take a look at now with this weekend's racing.
All right, it's going to be racing. It was going to be in Hamilton, Bruce, but unfortunately they didn't get enough nominations, and this was caused due to the fact that Victoria's been in lockdown, and the lockdown initially, the 5 days, and that is what it ended up being, but it has been unfortunate, Bruce, because it has meant that the Hamilton is being cancelled down in southern Victoria, and that will be disappointing for a number of drivers who might have been heading that way this weekend from South Australia and also from around Victoria and New South Wales.
Yeah, well, there was, in the 5 that were listed, there was Cameron Waters, of course, the V8 supercar driver, David Donegan, Jordan Charge, real up-and-comer is the young fella. Daniel Pesca was a South Australian driver heading over there, and Domain Ramsey. So they were the nominations, but obviously not enough nominations. And beautiful spot down there in Hamilton. we usually camp there on our way to Warrnambool and stop at a little place which we'll give a bit of a promo for. The Wannon Falls, just an absolute picturesque little place there and a good little camping spot, free camping, and in the Hamilton area at Western Springs Hamilton Speedway. So yeah, cancelled that one. So moving on to the others this weekend, it's the running of the High-Tech Oils Toowoomba Speedway, and this is the Sprint Cars Mayor's Cup. So again, we're seeing racing just continuing on in Queensland. Just beautiful up there one day, perfect the next. And good little lineup in this one, boys. 32 cars nominated.
Oh.
So they'll really go hard at it. And look, the money's obviously on Lockie McHugh in the NQ7, having a magnificent season, isn't he? We just talk about him week in, week out. And look, he come down to the south, a few weeks ago, and he got an A-main win down here against the big guns. So, look, it's no fluke. He really is performing well. And, look, he's really got it together and got a good team together and getting the setup right and dominating in Queensland. Matt Dumsney is another one in the nominations, along with Luke Oldfield, Jesse Addard, who's been racing down south. So there's a pretty good field in this one. Young gun from Queensland, Randy Morgan. He's had an A-main podium this season. Ryan McNamara. I love the look of the little black car of Ryan McNamara's in the Q88. So, good field in this one for the Mayor's Cup, but no doubt in this one, Lockie McHugh will go in as favourite with Jock Goodyear right on his toes.
As he should. Another trophy in the back seat of that one, probably, you'd think, but he's getting a bit greedy. Let someone else have a go. Where else are we racing on the weekend, Brucey?
Also racing, we'll stick with sprint cars. We'll look at the wingless in a moment. The Perth Motorplex with the Legends of Speedway. It's the Big Chap 57 race, and they've got 23 cars nominated, which is a pretty good field for Perth this time of the year. And looking at some of the nominations, we've got Brad Mayolo, Jason Kendrick, Taylor Milling. You've got the likes of Jason Pride, Sean Bradford. So there's some pretty good names. Callum Williamson, who's had a few podium wins this season. Daniel Harding. So some good names in this list of 23 for the Legends of Speedway Big Chap 57 at the Perth Motorplex, and that should also get a pretty good crowd there. They haven't had Speedway over there for a couple of weeks. So
At Murray Bridge, they've got the SA wingless titles. No sprint cars at Murray Bridge, but a good chance to get around the Speedway on Saturday night in the Bridge.
Yeah, this is the SA title, so look, there's a fair bit up for grabs. Nomination list includes several, the drivers that have had championship success. Alex Ross, former New South Wales state champion. You got Jason Bates, Northern Territory champion Troy Carey, Victorian champion Glenn Watts, former Australian number 2 Luke Wheel, Mark Blyton, Joel Heinrich, Kecky Fallon, synonymous name in the sprint cars. He'll be running around, and of course, Murray Bridge's own Robert Hurd. So there's a few names that'll be looking to get that SA1 on their car. And look, it should be an absolute brilliant night. There's a fair few nominations in the list. I think the last time I've seen there was up around the 40 to 50 nominations. So it's a big field going for the SA title at Murray Bridge.
Yeah, they will be. And next week at Warrnambool and at Mildura on Saturday night, February the 27th, big race meetings in both of those locations in Victoria, along with South Australia in Ceduna having the Penong races.
Oh, really?
Yeah, horse races. Horsepower, but of a different kind. No sprint cars going on there, that's for sure, Brucey. But we do look forward to playing your program tonight on the Flow's brand new Flow Sports podcast, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Yeah, it should be another big weekend next weekend going into that SunGold Stadium Sprint Car Showdown. So that should be a ripper. 20 nominated there at the moment. And, of course, the Mildura Mainline Dynamometers All-Star Series. 20 cars nominated there for that one. So that should be a big event next week in 2 big events in Victoria. Yeah, thanks for having us, boys, and we'll see you next week.
Good on you, Brucey.